to many of others like us. She's just a dear, sweet person. She's always been there for us and never forgets a birthday and always there for her family. I'd like to share a little bit of this poem that she has written in 1985.
Bonnie, a little louder. A little louder.
Louder. Okay.
You're better.
I was just saying, this is a poem that she wrote in 1989, and I think this reflects her mother's love and what a dear, sweet person she is. I'm thankful to God for many things, for beautiful flowers and birds that sing, for health and strength I daily enjoy as my days were filled with joy. But most of all, I'd like to say, I'm blessed to be a mother each day. I've loved my children, every one, 2 sweet daughters and 3 handsome sons. From babes to adults they have grown, the love of God that each have known. Each keep them and guide them, Lord, I pray, as years go swiftly day by day. Your sweetheart, I couldn't have said no
Well, I can't add a whole lot to what Bonnie has said. Of course, all of her children and daughter and son-in-laws have more history than I do. But the time that she has been my mother-in-law, I've loved her dearly, and I know she feels the same way about me. Have a special bond, and she has such a dear heart. I know that she's been told that she's done a wonderful job with her children, and I know they feel that she's the best mom in the world. I also have a poem to read that she has written. My 5 jewels. Billy was our first baby boy. He gave us much happiness and joy. All of my time to him was given, till baby Dick arrived from heaven. Then I divided time and love, grateful for blessings from above. 2 little boys, happy at play, bringing much sunshine every day. 3 years later, do you know what? A dear little girl is what we got. Sandy was a beautiful baby and quickly grew to a young lady, because when she was less than 2, a big surprise of twins was due. 2 sweet babies, a boy and a girl, put our household in a whirl. God has blessed them, every one. As to adults, they all have grown, 5 little jewels, and how they grew. Keep them, Lord, may they live for you. I love you.
We're going to do this together since we came together.
I'm Donna Kay Thorne, Eversman. Some of you I've known for years and years and love to come back and visit with you. Others of you I probably haven't met before. I went out to Colorado 34 years ago to start teaching and get my master's, and then I was going to come back to Indiana and teach here. Well, I bought a horse and met my husband on the same day, so I stayed there all this time. One thing I'd like to share with you is, because I'm in Colorado, is that we have to travel back and forth to see each other. So I've made many trips back here with my family, and also Mom and the families come out to visit with me. One thing Sandy and Mom and I decided several years ago that we needed to have some girl trips. So in 1991, we were privileged to take the trip of a lifetime to Japan to go visit Tomoko, who some of you knew was our exchange student back in 1964. We were treated like royalty. We had wonderful hotels to stay in, and restaurants to eat in, but at times the food choices were not ours. And we got to have such thing as, of course, the raw fish, raw eggs, bean cakes, soybean curd cakes. So at times we would need to find other choices of food. One time we were returning from a trip And our hostess asked if we'd like to stop by and get some tea and cakes. Well, Mom was pretty hungry because we didn't eat a whole lot of their food. So she's going, oh, that sounds really great. Of course, she's thinking about devil food cake or angel food cake. And Sandy and I knew it was bean curd cake. So we're elbowing her in the back of the taxi going, yeah. So Mom says, well, you know, I really am not too hungry, so let's just go on back to the hotel. We went back to the hotel, and as soon as the taxi left, we proceeded to walk to the nearest 7-Eleven and buy a Snicker bar, which what we ate quite a bit while we were in Japan. Another trip that we planned, that Sandy and I planned, which Mom didn't know anything about, was a trip to French Lick. Dad was one that would surprise Mom with trips or events, and she'd always say, I'd be ready in 20 minutes. So we walked in one day with a video camera and said, Mom, we're going to French Lick. She says, I can be ready in 20 minutes. So we drove her down there. I guess we didn't tell her where we were going, actually. We just put her in the car and started driving. So we had a wonderful trip there with swimming and looking at West Baden and rocking on the rocking chairs. That's probably all I can say. I've been blessed to be in this family. And it's such a blessing to be here with Mom today.
Like that.
He's been holding me up now.
Well, first of all, thank the church and all of you for coming this morning to honor Mother in this way. She is obviously very special to all of us, and obviously she's special to some of you as well. You know, she has a lot of admirable qualities. You know, she's very generous, very giving, very loving, has done has done so much for us over the years. But you know, she has a sense of humor, and she's quite competitive. Does Rook ring a bell to anybody? She has many talents, as you know. Writing poetry is one, but she's a kidder, and we have enjoyed, in her 90 years young, laughing with her robustly over the years, and continue to do that today. There's kind of a joke in our family that we've kidded over the years, and you know, you almost have to wonder, when you hear something, is it the truth, or is it somebody pulling their leg? And means a big part of that. And most of you know her as Helen in church, but in the family, she's been known for years as Thelma. And Thelma came about from years ago when we used to play basketball on our court at home. My friends came over. She would always supply us with water on hot summer days and cups to drink out of. And, you know, some new friends would come over and say, well, who's that? And I said, well, that's my mother, Thelma. And never telling them any different. And to this day, many of them think that her name is Thelma. And those that know better still call her Thelma, as do we. She's a very forgiving person as well. And I could go on with stories and stories, most of which
We don't want to tell.
I'm involved, but it might take my reputation, so I won't tell everything. But one evening, I asked her when I was in high school, I didn't have a car yet, so I asked her if I could borrow her car. For the evening, we're going to some friends' house, and she said, oh, sure. Did that many times. So I was over to these friends' house, and there's a bunch of folks there, and a friend of mine, Charlie, Kale will pick up on this in a minute, asked us, said, Don, can I borrow your car and take Susan home? And Susan was a friend, grew up in our neighborhood, I've known her for years. I said, well, sure, Charlie, you can take my car. That was about 10:30 at night, and 11:30, Charlie went back. And then, you know, some crowd started thinning out a little bit, and 12:30, Charlie still wasn't back. And I'm thinking, Charlie didn't come back. But then, you know, I guess a bit of hope, eternal hope, you know, I kept, well, 4:30 in the morning, I'm thinking, it'll be daylight in about an hour, and I probably need to be home. So this was out off State Street, Cherry Street area, and I had to get to Millerwood out off Charleston Road. And so I started hoofing it, and I'm thinking, well, if I can get in the door and get in bed before Mom and Dad wake up, that'd be half the battle. But I still didn't have an explanation for the car. I get to McDonald Lane, and over the horizon, here comes a car that I recognize. And it was Dad. Of course, the first thing he said is, "Where's your mother's car?" I didn't have a good answer. But we spent the rest of the morning, I guess, and a bit of the afternoon looking for that car, and we found it down on Dewey Street in another friend's apartment. And you know, she forgave me for that. And, she knew I was just trying to help a friend, and I really didn't intend for it to happen. But it did. I got several more stories to tell, but I tell you, I'm going to tell one more instead of 3 or 4. Sake of time, but this is kind of indirectly related to church. And I don't know, one Saturday night I was home, and Mom and Dad went out, I don't know, somewhere. And Sandy she was out on a date, something. Kay was gone, and Dick was out, I don't know where he was at. Billy was already moved out of the house, I think. I was home alone. And that ain't a good thing sometimes. But there was a friend of Sandy's who lived across the street, and I was out in the yard, and she'd come over, and she said, "Hey, Don, would you mind if I kind of highlighted your hair? You know, I want to practice." And I didn't care. I said, "Well, sure, Connie, I don't care." Well, she got me over the sink and got that juice on my head, and I guess she left it on there too long. And not only did she bleach my hair blonde, she bleached my eyebrows blonde. And I don't know, they were out all pretty late, so I went to bed, and I was asleep. And Mom and Dad come home, and of course Mom, as a good mother she is, she come down the hall to my bedroom. She just peered in the door just to see if I was awake, I guess, or to see if I was there. She took a look, and she screamed, "Bill, come quick! There's a blonde-haired girl in Don's bed." And, you know, I'm not sure, she never did tell me where she thought I was, but under the covers or left town, I don't know. I didn't want to go to church, Sunday school church the next morning, I'll tell you that. She wouldn't have any of that. And so she marched me right in here, and it took a while for it to grow out, too. But Mom, we love you. We have fun with you, as you know. We appreciate you very much.
Sorry, folks, we're a little bushy this morning. So normally I don't write stuff, you know, I can speak pretty well, just get up here, but I thought I'd better write it. One of the things is that it makes it difficult to talk about Mom without talking about Daddy, because they were just the team. They were inseparable in thought and mind and action, and it was a fabulous experience for us as a family and as children, because it was a united front. We never did get the opportunity to play one off the other. I've heard you people can do that, but it never happened in our house. And one of the things that I just, as you get older, appreciate so much is that we were brought up with such love and encouragement, but also expectations, requirements. You owe your community, your church, your person. There are things you need to fulfill in life. And one of those old sayings about to whom much is given, much is required was taught more by example than by pointing fingers at us or preaching to us, because that's who they were. They knew they were very fortunate people, and they gave more than we still are finding out things from people as they've grown up, things that our parents did. Financially, time-wise, giving cars to people to take trips for medical reasons because they had no car, and they never told us those things. And I've teased her over the years, mostly about the negative things we found out, and I had found out too about their daddy. You know, you kind of need to know those things sometimes, but I'm just so grateful that they were so loving to not only their family, but to so generous to their church and community and the tons of friends that they have. And one of the things my son Trent, who lives in Oregon, called the other day, and we talked about this because we've grown up with people saying, I can't believe you go on vacation with your family. I mean, you live in Trent called to share that he had talked to a good friend, and he had known Trent a long time and knew that Trent and his mother seemed to get along, but of course they live 2,000 miles apart, so it's not going to be too difficult, you know. But when Trent started sharing over a period of time that all but very few of our family, we all live right in the same community, we mostly go to the same church. And then he started talking about all these family vacations over the last 30 years. And I've had that response to me, and I know Bill has, and others, they're going, you went on vacation together? You live in the same town? And people say, we're lucky we get 2 hours of Christmas Day without a fight or a disagreement. Well, we sure have, I don't recall any fights once we got past the age of like 12 or 14 where we were legal, you know, get arrested or something. But we sure have our lively disagreements, and we certainly don't all agree on everything, but that's part of, I think, is how we were brought up to have our own minds and thoughts that there was a core of understanding that you never went beyond a certain point on a line, that you never went to hurt, and you created memories as a family. And one of the traditions, as Kay was saying, we have lots of them, but one of the traditions we started was the yearly calendar. This is one, and a lot of the pictures you see on the boards, we all work hard all year long to take pictures, especially catch her off guard at, you know, odd angles or doing something that you prefer not to be in a picture about or something, and wisely try and put together a calendar of the year. And we have great fun because it's the last gift she gets at Christmas time. And we have as much fun deciding how she's going to get it. And that is, Billy really gets a kick out of it. They've come in wrapped in sewer pipe, clean sewer pipes, but sewer pipe never real mailboxes, gas cans. Last year it was the DeWalt Big Boy tool box, what weighed like 150 pounds, it's full of rock. A couple of years ago, Billy had a good one. We were at Kay's house, so we didn't get it wrapped till we were at Kay's house, and he put it in a box and put some real heavy things that moved. And so for a half hour, she wasn't sure if it was alive, and Billy really played it great. I wish I could kind of, every time you went to hand it to her, something in the box would move. And he'd go, oh, what is that? And I mean, it was funny when we were there. My tape is funny. But, you know, another one is a box and a box and a box and a box, in a box and a box and a box and a box. And we went 18 deep on that one. The first box was about the size of the car. So that's part of the fun of the family is doing the jokes and the practical jokes and things, but things that also create great memories, and all of us, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, know how lucky and how fortunate we are to be part of this family. And the challenge to us is to carry on the legacy that we have been given from them and how much we love them.
Hey folks, this is completely extemporaneous because I was just told 30 seconds ago I would speak. So I'll try to be brief and be as positive as possible. I'm Fred Greener. I'm Sam's oldest son. The thing that comes to my mind when I think of my grandmother is strength of character. And I think the other thing that comes to my mind, the last 2 years I spent in Hawaii and was working about 80 hours a week and going to grad school at the same time. So it was kind of some trying times. And every Sunday, just about every Sunday, or every other Sunday, I would call my grandmother and use her as a sounding board, and just the strength and advice that she gave me was really what pulled me through that, and God. That was the only two reasons I made it out there. And another thing too, how many grandparents do you know have never ever used a 4-letter word? Now, I'm 38 years old, and ever since I can remember, and sounding off what my mother said, I always think of my grandparents as a team. I can't think of me without Paps, and that's who we call them. And I can't think of Paps without me, and just when I think of those two, I think that the thing that comes to my mind, the vision that comes to my mind is a rock. Those guys were solid as a rock. Strength of character in just everything. And I cannot tell you what an absolute blessing from God it has been to have Helen as my grandmother. And it's just, you know, everybody says, yeah, well, my mother's the greatest. Let me tell you something. Character, willpower, discipline, and just always being there for you no matter what. And I have been through some real garbage in the past. And not once did I ever get scolded or reprimanded. It was always positive. It was always, she was always there. Financially, you know, my grandfather bought my very first car. Just took me out and said, hey, you need a car, let's go. Bam, paid cash for it. I'll remember that for the rest of my life. And I think when I die, if I develop a tenth of my grandparents' character, I will have been blessed, no doubt about it. Thank you.
Dick and Barbara couldn't be with us. About 7 months ago, they had booked a trip to Arizona on a non-refundable ticket. And so they're out there not realizing that this would be Mother's Day. And secondly, obviously not realizing that Mother would be honored today. So I'm going to pinch hit for Dick. He has written something, and it's talking about a family trip that we have taken. He's saying here, are we having fun yet? Hello everyone, especially hello to Mother of the Year. Hi Mom, in my eyes you've always been the Mom of the Year for 61 years. I love you very much. Have a great day. Since I was told by number 3, and let me explain that, somewhere along the line they started numbering us. I'm number 1, being the first child, and Sandy's number 3. So Dick would be number 2, and the twins are 4 and 5, and of course they argued which one is 4 and which one is 5. But we've settled it, Don is 5, because he was born last. Anyway, so he was told by number 3 to talk only 2 minutes about a vacation. Please let me tell you about the most memorable one. It was June of 1977, and the kickoff of a month-long celebration of Mom and Dad's 50th anniversary. 18 family members, 2 motorhomes, 2 cars, 8 states, 4,000 miles, in 14 days. Wow. This was the best vacation of my life. Day 1, the Eastern clan drove out west to the Front Range of the Rocky Mountains near Brighton, Colorado, and met Kay and John, Jeff, and Justin. Day 3, we left Brighton, headed north to Wyoming, camped at Sinclair, Wyoming. That was a beautiful drive, and everyone was settled in to a window seat. I said camped. When we woke the next morning, several of us sleeping outside, all the sleeping bags were covered by ice. This was in July. Just one of the joys of family vacation. 18 people divided by 2 motorhomes, so 8 of us slept outside. Good thing we had a lot of kids along. Day 4 drove west to the Grand Teton Mountains. This is the most beautiful part of the Rocky Mountains, with Miller Lake at its base. Day 5 was whitewater rafting on the Snake River, just outside of Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Water temperature, 54 degrees. Some of us got in the water, but only for a few seconds. Day 6, stopped at a ghost town near Jackson Hole, visited the cabin where Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid and other notorious outlaws lived while they were part of the Hole in the Wall gang. Day 7 drove north and entered Yellowstone National Park, stayed 3 days, camping all the time, and looked at elk, waterfalls, deer, mud pots, bear, streams, moose, forest, buffalo, and of course, Old Faithful. We cooked out a lot, roasted hot dogs, marshmallow, ate peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Thanks, Mom. John Kay's husband fished for trout in one of the beautiful mountain streams. And that night, we ate more peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Day 10, we headed east to Spearfish, South Dakota. That evening, watched the Passion Play of Jesus Christ in an outdoor amphitheater. And that in itself would have been worth the drive out west. Day 11, visited Sturgis in Deadwood, South Dakota. Of course, Sturgis is known as the motorcycle town of the West for at least 1 week of the year. But Deadwood is a gambling town every day of the year. And now, if you want to know how much Mom won or lost, you'll have to ask her. I'm not going there. Day 12, we went back to the Black Hills of South Dakota and stayed a day at Mount Rushmore and Crazy Horse Park. This country, like so many other places to visit, or has so many other places to visit, there was no place like home. Day 13, at a restaurant someplace in South Dakota. Okay. They headed west, and with tears in our eyes, we headed home, knowing in our hearts that this had been a special and wonderful family vacation. Thanks for being here today and going along memory lane with us on our family vacation. During those special days, we had a great time and enjoyed each other's company. And that was and will be the best ever family vacation. Thanks for sharing this time with us and our mom. And Mom, I love you from your son, number 2, Dick. And he says, once we get home, we'll come out and sit outside with you. That's right. I had a couple of comments I wanted to make. And some of it has been touched on. Obviously, Mother's been known by a lot of different names. Mother, Meme, Helen, Thelma, Mrs. Thorne, Mrs. Willard Thorne, and so forth. And many of you have known my father, Bill, or Willard, and he was normally looked at as a very successful businessman, churchman, community leader, involved in all kinds of things in the community, and on dozens of committees locally, statewide, and nationally in his industry. And you've obviously heard behind every successful man is the individual that made him so. And that's really what Mother was. She was his support always, never complained. And because of his interaction with so many different people, he was gone several nights a week. He was gone on vacations, or not vacations, but work-related trips a number of times throughout the year. So this is the woman that made him the success that he was. And that is a very true statement. One of the ways she was able to do that, she obviously worked long hours, having 5 children, but she also taught the children to work as a part of the family team at a very young age. Normally 10 or 11, you were assigned pretty good chores to do around the house, and that we worked very diligently each week to accomplish that. And then the other thing is that, of course, 3 of us worked, and then we had the twins. And the twins. Is that right? didn't have to work quite as early because they were the twins. And so Sandy, Dick, and myself, being just single kids and older now, we had to take care of them until, I don't know, we started working at 9 or 10, 11. I think they were 16 before they.
They were the last ones home.
That's right. Another thing, and I'll cut this real short, is that Mother had one of the cleanest houses in the community, and she was notorious for washing walls and washing ceiling at least once a year, if not twice a year. And that's a joke we still play on all the time when I call, what wall are you washing today? You know, because that was typically what she did, even though she had this big house full of kids to take care of. Another little thing that probably you don't know is that she was an acrobat. Now, when she was young, and I don't know if any of you realize this, when she was young, we were told that she was a beautician and worked in a beauty shop, but I don't think that's the case. I think she really worked as an acrobat with a circus, because you know what a cartwheel is? You know, you do hands, you roll down on the floor and you go out through the yard. She did that all the time, every summer, up until she was 72 years old. She was still learning cartwheels. Mom, we love you. It's a thrill to be in your family and be your number one.
We're glad that you're all here today. We're especially glad for all of our mothers. It was a privilege to honor me today. I would like to thank the ladies who took care of the tables for us. Brenda Elkins and Leslie Krause took care of all the decorations, and Peg Hauber is the one that coordinated all the food. Would you thank these ladies?
Bad now. There's a picture of the front door. Hold on a second. This is a little storage room here. Not too good looking there. Doors kind of pushed in. There's the old mixer used to sit. There's that hole on the north side, east side of the door, north door. hole in the wall here.